I think a person can have enough judgment from reading books and being well informed outside of traditional experience.
What books would you have read that would have informed your opinion on what grants to cancel based on DEI?
There were no books.
Okay.
Experts say that it cost taxpayers $135 billion. Permanent institutional damage was caused. Valuable research just deleted. Your sensitive data spread around signal chats and discussed with third parties with zero care. And yeah, we know DOGE was a failure at every level. We knew it from the start. But now, because of a court case, we have sworn testimony to back all of this up. And it's all because some of the discovery in a federal lawsuit against DOGE just became public. We've got video depositions, emails, spreadsheets, and even the actual ChatGPT prompts these idiots used. And I have only one word to describe all of this. Stupid. Stupid, and fortunately for us, thoroughly documented. I mean, this is one of the best examples of a constitutional vandalism ever pieced together in a federal court filing. And watching the videos and reading the transcripts, it is so easy to forget what was actually at stake. Watching these kids, and yes, these are definitely kids here, it feels like watching the deposition of some college bros that stole their in-state rival's mascot or something. Not this over-the-top raid of our federal government that led to more than 300,000 layoffs and disproportionately impacted marginalized communities. In March of last year, two DOGE bros, Justin Fox and Nathan Kavanaugh, walked into the National Endowment for the Humanities. Neither of these guys had a background in humanities, grants, government, or frankly, anything that would qualify them to decide what happens to a library card, let alone $100 million in federal funding. Fox's training for the job, he testified under oath that he, quote, generally followed Nate. That was his entire training. Following the other guy around like a golden retriever that somehow had access to sensitive government data. And Nathan Kavanaugh, described the agencies that he was sent to oversee as, quote, useless small agencies. That quote from a man that's tasked with evaluating 60 years of humanities investment, and he thinks the entire concept is useless. I mean, that's like sending a guy who survives solely on chicky nuggies and boxed mac and cheese to review a Michelin star restaurant. I don't know what any of this is, but there's way too much of it. 1 star. Actually, 0 stars. Shut it all down. And in Justin Fox's case, before he even met with anyone at the NEH, he jumped in the grants database and he started searching for certain keywords. Keywords like gay, or the acronym BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. He looked for tribal, homosexual, and he kept track of all of the results in a list that he titled Craziest Grants. And under oath, this is the best part, he admitted that he did not search for white, Caucasian, or heterosexual. He's not even trying to hide it. And then Fox wasn't done. He decided to try his hand at some good old-fashioned AI-infused laziness. So when many of these Trump executive orders came out about grants and funding all of these government agencies, the career professionals at the NEH reviewed every grant carefully to identify any conflicts with the executive orders. Heck, the acting chair was a Trump appointee, and he had most of these labeled as not having any conflicts with DEI. These are the people who dealt with the grants on a daily basis. Career professionals. Fox, meanwhile, didn't have the time, training, education, or frankly, any quality that would allow him to carefully review any of these grants. So he did what any good smug bro would do. He turned to ChatGPT. And now, because of these court filings, we know exactly what prompts he used to review these grants. From the court docs themselves, the prompt he used was, does the following relate at all to DEI? Respond factually in less than 120 characters. Begin with yes or no, followed by a brief explanation. That's it. That prompt decided the fate of $100 million in funding. A yes or no question to a chatbot with a character limit shorter than a tweet. Fox didn't even tell ChatGPT what he thinks DEI means. He didn't give it any criteria. He didn't ask about scholarly merit. He just asked if it related at all to DEI. And frankly, at all, that's the two most dangerous words in that prompt because everything relates to something at all. And when this guy was asked under oath what his understanding of ChatGPT's definition of DEI was, his answer, I don't know.
I'm asking you questions. You're under oath. And
Yeah,
you're required
yeah.
to answer them. So what is your understanding of what DEI means?
Well, I think I would say, again, that I would go back to the EO to make sure I'm capturing enough. I don't feel comfortable saying a high-level overview because it is such a big bucket, and there's just a lot of pieces of the puzzle.
He didn't know. He ran the entire grant portfolio of a federal agency through an AI chatbot, using a concept that he can't define, through a tool whose interpretation he didn't even understand. A magic 8-ball would have been way more careful than this guy. And then he was asked under oath again if he did anything to make sure ChatGPT wouldn't discriminate by race. He said no. By sex, quote, it didn't matter, we didn't need to. And I shouldn't have to remind you of this, but I'm going to say this anyway. The Constitution specifically requires that the federal government not discriminate based on race when making funding decisions. Justin Fox's position was, doesn't matter, didn't need to. The arrogance is astounding. So then let's think about what the results of this prompt actually were, right? What did ChatGPT flag for Fox? A grant for a documentary about the 1873 Colfax massacre. It was a terrible incident of anti-Black violence during the Reconstruction period. It was flagged as DEI because it explores a historical event that significantly impacted Black civil rights. Yeah, history. History is DEI now. A grant called In the Shadow of the Holocaust, short fiction by Jewish writers from the Soviet Union, was flagged as DEI because it explores Jewish writers' engagement with the Holocaust. ChatGPT looked at the Holocaust and went, yep, that's DEI right there. A biography of Oscar Adams Jr., the first Black person on the Alabama Supreme Court. That was DEI because it explored the life of a Black lawyer. His crime, apparently, was accomplishing things while Black. Straight into the DEI pile. And my absolute favorite out of all of this, $349,000 grant to replace an HVAC system at the High Point Museum in North Carolina. ChatGPT flagged it as DEI. And the AI's rationale, improving HVAC systems enhances preservation conditions for collections, aligning with the goal of providing greater access to diverse audiences. ChatGPT flagged an air conditioner. The federal government of the United States used a chatbot to decide that fixing a museum's aging air conditioning was radically out there in DEI land. And then they canceled the funding. And look, I went through all the exhibits because I'm a dork. I really am. I went through every single one of them. And there's so much in there. And I'm going to drop a link in the description below. You can read it for yourself. You can watch the videos for yourself. I mean, seriously, like ChatGPT flagged a book about literary agents as DEI because it highlights the influence of commerce on culture. It flagged a taxidermy survey, a project about stuffed birds from 1883 as DEI because it contributed to preserving cultural heritage. Ancient writing systems from 3,000 years ago, DEI, because they contributed to the understanding of the evolution of human literacy. Yep, the invention of writing is woke now. So next time you want to go thank the Phoenicians, remember that they were running a woke DEI program according to DOGE. But you know what didn't get flagged? A study of Immanuel Kant's philosophy of mathematics. And if you're not familiar with his work, he's the guy who tried to scientifically rank whites as a superior race. And out of the 42 grants they kept, the DOGE bros kept, every single one of them about a specific individual was about a white person. Every single one of them. Meanwhile, every single grant about Native Americans, dozens of them, terminated. Language preservation for endangered indigenous languages, gone. Boarding school history where children died, gone. Cultural heritage projects, all gone. And look, DOGE wasn't there simply to advise on these cuts. They took over the damn agency itself. The acting chair, Michael McDonald, he's a Trump nominee here. This is a 20-year career official. He sent Fox an email the morning before all these 1,400 grants were terminated. And he said in this email that many grants were harmless when it came to promoting DEI. And he recommended that they be saved. But then he wrote this awful sentence to a DOGE intern with 3 weeks of government experience. As you've made clear, it's your decision on whether to discontinue funding any of the projects. Your decision. Not the chair, not the person Congress authorized, the DOGE intern who's been in government for 3 weeks. And of course, DOGE rejected McDonald's recommendations. And when asked under oath who rejected it, Nate Kavanaugh said, Justin and I both rejected that recommendation. Yep, just two dudes using ChatGPT decided to cancel 1,400 grants. Then Fox drafted the termination letters by forging McDonald's electronic signature, typing Michael McDonald himself. Michael McDonald didn't even know who signed the letters. He said presumably somebody at DOGE. He didn't even know that his name was forged on 1,400 official letters canceling grants. Fox sent the emails, by the way, these notices, in an unofficial Microsoft email account, blasting it out, all of them by himself, 1 day short of his first month in government. And the best part, the whole time they were using Signal with auto-delete for all their communications. Government business taking place, $100 million in congressionally appropriated funds in Signal, just like we saw Hegseth do, just like we've seen this entire Trump regime do. Hell, I remember watching The Wire back in the day and being impressed by the concept of burner phones. Little did I know that our own government would be following in the footsteps of Avon Barksdale. Absolutely crazy. And after all of this, after gutting $100 million in peer-reviewed grants, after terminating Holocaust education and Native American language preservation and civil rights research, Michael McDonald solicited a $10 million single-source award to the Tikva Fund, a conservative Jewish organization. No competition, no peer review, a conservative organization getting $10 million, no questions asked, just because some dude said so. Because 1,400 other grantees were too woke to fund. And Michael McDonald, the Trump appointee, he's been nominated to be the permanent head of the NEH. This is the guy who let DOGE forge his signature. That's who they want running this agency permanently. Absolutely disgusting. Fortunately, this lawsuit is asking the court to vacate every single termination and issue a permanent injunction against DOGE's actions here. And based on everything that I've read in these documents, every email, every deposition, every page of this ChatGPT output, the plaintiffs have a hell of a case. Because some things are just too stupid to defend in court. And we asked a chatbot if an air conditioner was DEI and then canceled a grant is one of them. I've got the documents linked below. Read them yourself, because this is the kind of story where the truth is so absurd, you will not believe it until you read it for yourself.
They called it closed, filed away, forgotten. But some truths don't stay buried. Time doesn't erase guilt. A reckoning is always just around the corner. A death in Arcadia. Justice has a long memory.